Hey everybody, how's it going? It's a Daily Shooter, and well, California is at it once again. Governor Gavin Newsom signed AB-173, which is going to take all of your information from registration and from background checks and give it to researchers who can then come up with other ways to further restrict your Second Amendment rights. So let's talk about it. Now, before we go any further, if you guys haven't already, make sure you go down in that description box, you click the link to the FPC and to the USCCA, and you become members of two very important groups. The FPC, which is going to fight back against stuff like this. They're in court pretty much every single day. These guys have not stopped. They work around the clock to try and maintain, preserve, and get back our constitutionally protected rights, and the USCCA, which is there to protect you should you find the need to protect yourself. Two very important things, so definitely check it out. Let's get started. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Nothing good ever, and I mean ever, comes from registration. I can't think of a time where I have seen an instance where I was like, well, thank goodness there was registration, or else A, B, or C. It's never a good thing. When the government comes in and they want to know all of your personal information, they want to know what you bought, what you own, what you legally possess, then they want to take all that information and put it into a searchable database that only they have access to, and the people that they choose have access to. The only people that benefit from that is the government. That's it. And that doesn't work out really well for the people when the government is not on our side. So again, registration is never a good thing, and this is a prime example of that. So in California, with the signing of this bill, what's going to happen is all of that data, all of the registration, all those background checks and the 4473s and the information on what you bought and all that stuff that was collected by the California government is now going to be distributed to researchers and accredited schools that do research on certain, prevention programs. So I think UC Berkeley is going to be getting a list. I know I'm going to be on that list because the list, as far as I understand, is going to go back something like 20 years of people who, purchase and possess certain things. And then that information is going to be going to these different research facilities. And a lot of time it's going to be on liberal college universities. So we know that these people are not necessarily our friends. They're not friends to freedom. They're not friends to the Second Amendment. They're not friends to our individual rights. Those are the people that are going to be ending up with the names and addresses and all other information of all of us who have filled out a 4473 in California. That's the people that are going to be taking possession of this information. Now, in this new bill, as part of the new law, they're not allowed to make public any of the information that is been given to them. So they're not allowed to make public somebody's personal information. They're allowed to take that information. The bill says they're allowed to analyze that information for research purposes and then, be able to publish what their research finds, but without putting any personal information in it. However, there doesn't really seem to be any oversight whatsoever as to what these people do with the information once they get it, and as well as any punishment should they leak the information. So, we know that even classified documents from the federal government, get leaked at times, right? So what's to say that now that this information, which was once held by the government solely, and now is going to be held by institutions all over the place, what's to say that that's not going to be leaked by one of those institutions, and that all of these people's names are going to be out there for the general public to see? Your name, your address, maybe relations and things like that. People are going to know exactly what you own, what you have. If that information gets leaked, that's what's going to happen. And again, without any oversight and any real accountability, I see that being a very realistic possibility. So that's what happened. They collected all of your information. Now they're going to divvy that information up amongst all of these people who are not friends to freedom. Now, I'm sure there's going to be lawsuits about this one. I have absolutely no doubt that there's going to be lawsuits. People don't want their information out there, and they don't want their information divvied up and given to a bunch of different places. Now, supposedly it's supposed to go to, accredited schools that are recognized, by the Board of Education and stuff like that. So it's supposed to go to people who are supposed to be responsible. However, again, I don't want my information out there. I personally know that my information is in there, and I know that, you know, hundreds of thousands of other people, if not millions of other people, have their information in there as well. And it's not the government's job to take that information and start divvying it out to people for the purposes of research. You know, you're not allowed to take my information and tell other people, regardless of what institution they're with, what I own, where I live, what I'm doing, or anything else for any purpose. That is my private information, and that is a violation of my privacy, regardless of who you give it to. So again, you are violating people's right to privacy when you give it out, regardless of who you give it out to. If you give it out to somebody, it is a violation of that right. So, you know, again, it's California, but a reason that people need to pay attention to this across the country is because we know that what starts in California, what might just start as a seed in California, does tend to grow and does tend to spread across the country. And if this is allowed to actually succeed without any pushback, and, you know, it's not overturned and so forth, guaranteed, you know, being California as the control group, as a test case, that is going to spread across the rest of the country. And you're going to see other states start to implement it as well, you know, like New Jersey and New York and Illinois and, you know, Hawaii and places like that. All your normal major players were going to start seeing it. So I had to kind of stop this one at the source, you know, nip it in the bud, so to speak. So anyway, I want to let you guys know that that's happening. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys go over and become a member of the FBC, because again, it's the FBC that is fighting back against stuff like this. Thanks again.